All right, mic check, mic check. More the Masters podcast, y'all made of course. I want to clap it up. I got a special guest across from me. Got Miss Alexia Payne with me. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I've been doing good. I feel like I've been seeing you everywhere.
I've been trying to be everywhere.
A lot of people tell me I work a lot, I do things a lot, but everywhere I've been seeing, and you've been there before me. So I've been seeing you there, and you've been there before me, and I'm leaving, and you're still there.
Yeah, well, this weekend, I think on last Saturday, we had 7 events. And so I was in Richmond County, I was in Burke County, I was back in Columbia County. So I'm just trying to meet the people where they are.
I like that. I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, I've just been seeing you do a lot of work. Ever since I first heard your name, just been seeing you everywhere. So I definitely do appreciate that. I know campaigning isn't easy. I tell people that a lot. Like it's a hard thing to do.
It is. It's not for the faint of heart. It is not quite what I expected, even though I had worked on some campaigns in the past. It's even more grueling, more exhausting, but it's also exciting. It's very encouraging to get out there, meet the people, and then also to have them say, yeah, I saw your sign, or I saw you were at my church at this event, or I just saw you the other day at a breakfast and I saw your billboard, or I saw your commercial come up. And so that has been one of the very cool things about it, is that what I'm doing, I think it's working because we're getting around, we are seeing everyone as much as possible. We're just trying to get the message out about why change is necessary and what the future can look like for our community.
No, I like it. I like it a lot. One thing I try to do on More Than Masters, though, that a lot of people don't do. I like to try to just get people's background and get to know who they are, and then we get into what you're doing and kind of what's your goal. So I'm gonna take it back a little bit. I know I interviewed you before, but not on this platform. So just kind of tell people a little about where you're from, where you grew up at.
Okay. I'm from Texas. So I was born and raised in Texas. I grew up in a small-ish town outside of Dallas-Fort Worth. And so I grew up in Mansfield, Texas. When I finished there was one high school. There were 600 people in my graduating class. And it was sort of more like Columbia County, actually. So it was on the outskirts. It was in the suburbs. And it has grown exponentially since I've been gone. I grew up playing soccer. So that was one of the really interesting things. So I was one of the only Black girls on my soccer team. And so I think that had a lot to do with how I talk and all the rest of the things, but I've gotten used to that. So it has actually suited me very well as I've moved forward through life. Not to say that it wasn't without challenges, because of course, I heard all of the traditional, you sound different and you talk like this and you talk like that. But it's not anything that I ever really let bother me. It's just, this is who I am. And so.
Well, I want to stay there for a second. What advice do you have to somebody who may be experiencing that as well? Maybe they talk proper, maybe they talk a certain way, and they're getting told you talk this way, you talk that way, maybe making them less this or making them less that. What advice do you have to somebody that's kind of going through that but don't know how to navigate?
I think you can only be who you are. And so the people that are saying that about you, it's because you're different. But I would not be afraid to be different. Different is one of the most wonderful things. Different, when you're part of the crowd, you don't stand out. And when you are blending into the background, that means that you are not necessarily being true to yourself. And so don't be afraid to stand out. Don't be afraid to stand up for what you believe in. I think those experiences then have primed me for the position that I'm in right now. Being able to stand up straight in spite of adversity, in spite of the odds being against you, being able to acknowledge that it may not be the popular thing, but it's still the right thing to do. And it gives you courage, and having courage allows you to step out and do hard things. And so don't listen to the naysayers. You run your race. You talk how you need to talk, and it has carried me through. It's what has helped propel me to success. And so I don't have any qualms about it. I don't feel any kind of way about it. I don't feel sad. My feelings aren't hurt. I have stepped into it, and it's one of the most the characteristics. It's the things that people like about me. Like, she's a little different, but I kind of like her. Being genuine and being unique there's nothing bad about that.
Well, I want to kind of ask you this because you mentioned it. I want to oversee it. You said soccer. So I know the first time you told me that, I was kind of taken aback. But like, one, why soccer? And then, like, what was that like playing? I never played soccer, but in the streets. So what was that like playing like organized soccer?
I started out with a recreational team, and that team was family. We took camping trips together. We're in Girl Scouts for together. We fielded our own basketball team together. I was not good at basketball, but we kind of did everything together, and I just excelled. It's one of those things that I somehow found my place in it. I was kind of fast. I then moved on to a club team, and that is where I would say that my wanderlust inspired my wanderlust, because we traveled. So we went to DC, we went to California, we went to Colorado. I've traveled all over the world with soccer, and I made some of my best friends in high school there, and it just opened doors. And I think being a minority in a sport that was not popular for little Black girls at the time was kind of what propelled me forward. Again, being one of a kind, being unique, again, put me in a space where they're like, you know what, we're gonna see what this girl has to offer, and I kept offering up myself and kept going, and so it was fun. But organized sports, I think, prepares you to lead. Women who play sports always, it builds character. So you learn how to be part of a team. You learn how to play different roles. Sometimes you're the captain, sometimes you're supporting, but it's a team, and it takes every single one of those people. Sometimes you're a starter, sometimes you come off the bench. But again, it takes all the different roles in order for a team to be successful. And we were good.
I like that. I think you even said that you even end up getting a scholarship, right? You did soccer was your gateway to getting free education.
Yes, soccer. I played soccer for 2 years at college in Baylor, and I had to stop because, again, knees torn to shreds. By the time that I got to college, they were done for. But it also allowed me to open some other doors, and I volunteered with my soccer team, and I worked with kids. And after I stopped playing soccer, I went to work for Lighted Schools, which is an after-school program, and that is kind of where I really got my passion for working with at-risk youth. That led me to be a public defender.
Okay. I know you mentioned growing up in Texas, right?
Yes.
All right. So, like, describe you. Like, what were you like as a child? Like, what were you like? What was young Alexia like?
Oh, I was a bookworm. So I grew up and I read the Babysitter's Club. I was very particular. So I was an oldest child. I had a younger brother. My brother and I are 2 years apart. And so he was like my baby. And so I took care of him. I'd go to soccer practice, and they'd always give us candy afterwards. And I'd say, well, I have to take one to my brother? Can I have one for my brother? And I would always just make sure that he had what he needed. So if I got something, I wanted him to have one too.
What was it like? You mentioned having a sibling, but what was it like? What were your parents like?
My parents were fun. They are magnetic people who just bring everyone in. So it was a house full of love and laughter, and the party house. And so they had a close knit group of friends from college, and they would play cards, and they had kids that were our age. And so we would hang out while our parents played cards in the other night. And when, even with sports, we would have people over, we'd have sleepovers, we'd have pots of spaghetti on Friday nights in preparation for the game. It was just always a house where everybody could kind of drop in and feel the love.
What game?
So I played soccer. My brother played football. And
oh, wow.
So, yes.
Okay. A sports family.
Yes.
I asked when you said Friday, I thought first thing that came to my mind was Friday Night Lights.
Friday Night Lights. That's right.
What part of Houston is this?
Dallas area.
Dallas, I'm sorry.
Mansfield.
So yes, and that's like the home. That's where it's from. It's Texas. So all right, that's cool. I like that. What did your parents do? Like what did they do? Like you mentioned having college friends. So like what did they do like occupation wise?
So my mom was a nurse.
Okay.
My parents met in college. My mom was originally from Louisiana, and
Oh.
then they went to college. They met in college in Arlington. And so my dad was transportation. So he did logistics and management for large transportation companies. And so that was his field, and that's what he did. My mom, she came out of school and was a registered nurse. And so she was actually a neonatal nurse. As I was growing up, she worked a couple of different jobs. And so she taught labor and delivery. She taught Lamaze class. My dad, when my mom was working, my dad was kind of taking care of us and getting us together. So they were a team, and so they tag teamed, and I think she went back to work pretty quickly after she had me, and then my dad later in life, they were both teaching, so they taught at I believe Everest College. So it was kind of like a tech school, sort of like University of Phoenix, but yep. So they did that. So, just working. My mom, when I was growing up, she always had, 2 and 3 jobs. They were trying to put it all together to make it work for us. And they did. So they were just very hardworking people.
I asked these questions 'cause I know last time I interviewed you on Augusta News Network. I wanted to get to the point because sometimes when a live audience in there, they don't have patience, and so like it's good hearing these things because these are questions I had that day, but it wasn't informed to ask that questions now.
Right.
So I think that's cool, just having a hardworking class family, as well, and being able to see that at a young age. Okay, and then you said you did sport. So even with soccer, I know you played. How serious did you take soccer at the time when you started playing it up until like high school? Like, was it like, I don't know if you see that the kids now, they say ball is life. Like they live, eat, and sleep basketball or football. So was it the same thing for you with soccer? Or was it something you just as a hobby and you're really good?
Yes and no. So I won't say the ball is life, but we, but it took up a lot of my time. But we had very strict rules, so we had a no pass, no play rule in our house. So academics was first, and so if you were not doing well in the classroom, don't talk about soccer. Don't talk about practice. Don't talk about the game. You will have to sit out. That was a non-negotiable. So education was one of the foremost things in our household. So we had all of these extracurricular activities, but that was secondary to being a student. And so that was always emphasized. My brother and I had to experience that 1 or 2 times. They were serious and they meant it. Like, you don't bring the grades in, you will not step foot on that field. So don't even talk about it, think about it. You can just go on upstairs and open your books.
Real life student athlete.
Yes, real life student athlite. Heavy on the student.
People forget that the student part comes first when you talk about that, right? So
absolutely,
that's cool. All right, and then just trying to fast forward a little bit. High school wise, you playing soccer in there as well. What was your high school like for you? And I asked that question because I try to ask women this question because I feel like I have a sister. I talk to a lot of women in podcasting and things of that nature. And I always hear like that 13, 14 years of year olds of your life kind of changes things, maybe your attitude, where you walk, where you talk. So what were you like in high school, as a teenager?
I had a lot of attitude. So
what?
Yes, I know. I imagine.
I always see you smile, so it's hard. I'm pretty sure I can envision it, but it's hard right now because you're always smiling.
Yeah, well, I won't say that the outside world caught the most of it, but my mom did. That was very tough years in my high school. She always says that she didn't like me again until I was 25. So from about 13 to 25 were rocky times in our house, but that has been mended, and that is probably one of my best friends in the world. So she is. We're very, very close, and that's come through a lot of different ways, but we're very close now, and so
that's great.
I'm grateful for her.
And then I'll talk about like just the decision to go to Baylor, which is I know I watch basketball, so Baylor's not, it's not a pushover school. It's a top school. Even just maybe academics too, but definitely sports.
Right.
So like, what led you to choose Baylor?
So where I grew up, North Texas soccer, women's soccer was really big. And so my club team was Texas Image, which was doing well. So we were highly competitive in that time. And we actually had a lot of girls from our older year in club go to that school. And the year before I went, so I went there in 1999, I started college. And in 98, right?
Wait. Why you made that face?
I forget that I'm that old, but I
Someone like you said
am.
1990, like, dang, I shouldn't have said that.
Right. Like the kids say, well, did y'all have electric cars then? Yes, we did. We did not drive horse and buggy.
Did y'all have Wi-Fi?
Yeah, right. I went to school in the 1900s. Yes, I don't like it, but Baylor women's soccer had won Big 12 conference in 1998. And so the year before I went, they had just won conference. It is a conservative school, much less now than when I went there, but I went there because I had a lot of girls from my club go there and they had just won Big 12 conference. And so that was a really big deal. And that was a cool program to be able to step into and be a part of.
All right, cool. And you mentioned, so you said student athletes. So I guess with your preparation, whether it be middle school and in high school, in the household, now you're in college and you're at Baylor. How are you using the student athlete in this definition as far as like, okay, well, after college, I want to do this. Like, what'd you major in? What was your goal at that point?
So in high school, I took AP classes. I took honors classes. I probably took honors classes all throughout, even middle school. So I was part of a gifted and talented program, starting in like fourth grade or so when I started at a private school and went to public school.
I'm gonna clap it up for you. I gotta clap the clap button. That's good. I don't want to just not say nothing now. You're pretty much just telling me that I've been smart for a long time, y'all. Yeah, I've been smart for a very long time.
I started with I like to read. I was a bookworm. I read. There were parties going on around me. I was reading in the corner. So the attitude, I don't know where it came from. I was kind of boring, but also I was a reader. So I had a set of study skills, but being a student athlete, we had study hall. They had a lot of supports for the athletes to try to make sure that we were successful and could accomplish the goals. Baylor has a very high graduation rate of its student athletes. That's one of the things that they pride themselves on is so again, that they're really getting the academic experience coming out of the school.
You good?
Yeah. Excuse me. And so we were just focusing on all the things that we needed to put together. So study hall, I studied international business and marketing. For a little while, I thought I was going to take fashion merchandising as a minor, and I took a lot of Spanish classes, almost enough to be a Spanish minor. Not quite that many, but that's what I studied. So I liked business. I thought that that's what I was going to study. But when it came time to finish undergrad, I said, oh, I'm not quite ready to get a job yet. So what am I going to do? And all this time growing up, my mom, both my parents in the background, you should be a lawyer. You should be a lawyer. And I didn't think that I was really going to, back to the attitude, said, y'all don't know what you're talking about. I'm not doing anything that you suggest of me. I'm not interested in that. But one day you wake up and you realize your parents are right about a lot of things. And so I just said, okay, let's try this law school thing. Let's see if I can cut it. So I took a weekend study class. I took the test to get into law school, which is the LSAT. And I applied to some schools and I got in. And so then I had to figure out where did I want to go. I only applied to schools that were very different from Baylor because although it's a very good school, again, back to it being conservative, Waco was smaller. It was not nearly as developed that it is now. And so then I applied to Houston. I applied in Baton Rouge. I applied in New Orleans. And I decided on New Orleans. And I loved it there. I did. You know, we arrived on campus and the first thing is they said, here's a beer. Welcome to Bar Review.
What was New Orleans like? What was that like?
Oh, it was fantastic. It's where I developed my love for a good parade. So if you saw me in the
Mardi Gras?
well, I went to Mardi Gras always, but if you saw me in the St. Patrick's Day parade a couple of weeks ago, I was out there. You know, that is where those are my Mardi Gras roots coming out. I love a good parade, so wave in and throw me something, Mister. So that'll get you every time.
Did you have any family in New Orleans? Could you say your mom from Louisiana, right?
So I didn't have family. My college roommate, one of her grandmother lived in New Orleans. So her mom's family was from New Orleans, but I didn't have any family specifically in New Orleans. My mom was from Monroe. I've had family in Shreveport, in Bossier City. I've got family in, oh, it's not Alexandria. I had some close family friends that were in Baton Rouge. I don't know why I'm at a loss for words. They're going to not be very happy from me, but
I just asked because you said you went to law school in New Orleans, right? Well, and what was that law school? What was it?
Tulane. I went to Tulane.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. That's a good school too, though. No, you naming all good schools. Okay, good.
Yeah. I'm going to throw a bit of advice out there, though, for my students looking out. I always recommend for college students or even high school students looking to go to college, go to the best school you can for the least amount of money. Because what I will tell you is both of those schools are private schools and student loans are no joke. So even though I did go on an academic and athletic and academic scholarship, it didn't pay for it all. So I had to really work to get those loans paid off. And it did not come easy and it did not come quick. And so you want to be mindful that you're going to get the return on your investment. And college isn't for everybody.
Yeah.
It is one path, but it is not the only path. And so I highly recommend that people look into all of the paths that are available to them and find out what they want to do and make sure that it's going to be worth it. Because if you're going to go and spend the money, but you're not going to be able to pay it off, it's not worth it. Do something else.
Yeah. You make a good point, and it's not nothing to do with what we talk about now, but I just always tell people this. I remember moving down here from New York, and I came down my first day. She said, "You want to be college prep or tech prep?" And I never knew what that meant. I'm like, I don't even know. I said, I don't know. She said, "Well, do you want to take a foreign language?" I said, "Not really. I don't want to take a foreign language." Okay, put you on tech prep. And I feel like that was just like a horrible way to explain tech in college. Like, you know, you could have said a trade. Do you want to go to college? You could have asked me like 1,000 other questions other than do you want to take a language? Like, I'm like, no. And then I'll end up going to a university. So I'm like, I got tech prep high school. I'm going to university.
Yeah, those are not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, so when you say what you say, I always say like, yes. And I think what I like about now is even seeing you other day at a career day at the Turner School, you know, which I think is important. It's important to show students all different walks of life. So you got your college grads, you got your lawyers, you got your dentists, your doctors, but you also have barbers. It's so many different other lanes where you can be successful.
Absolutely.
And so I like the fact that we're doing that more now than when I was in high school. So lucky me, right? But yeah, so law school, how was that like? How was that? You know, was that tough for you? Because you like honors, AP classes, Baylor.
Yeah, becoming a lawyer is one big hazing experiment. I'll be very honest with you. So you have to take all of these tests to get in. So the LSAT is intense. It's logic games, but it's just a thinking test. It's not the actual information that you need to get into law school. I mean, it's not the way that you're going to practice law. It just is, how do you think, can you think the way that we want you to think? And then you get into law school and they have you go through the Socratic method, whereas you have to read all of this information and they ask you questions and you have to get on your feet and be ready to present. And you may go an entire semester and only have one exam at the end of the semester over everything that you've learned. And it's a written exam. So you have to figure out how are you going to synthesize and organize all this information that you've been gathering for the past, 100 days, and or even a little bit longer than that. So you've got to put all that together and then write essays about it and spend a couple of hours writing essays about it. And that's in each one of your classes. Then when you finish law school, you've got to study for the bar exam. And the bar exam is state specific, but the Georgia bar exam is 2 days. It's a 2-day test. And I was telling some students that the other day, they were like, well, what does it take? I said, it's a 2-day test. What do you mean all day? I mean, you sit in there, you bring your snacks, you bring earphones, you bring to keep out everybody else's noise. You bring socks in case it's cold and a sweater. And then so you can tune out everything. And then you have to answer multiple choice questions on one day. And then you have to write. And it's a 8 to 4, 9 to 4 day where and then you take the test in July and you don't get the results until October.
Oh, wow. Dang.
So are you ready to be a lawyer yet?
I never realized that y'all didn't know the results right then and there.
No, they make you wait because somebody has to read all those essays and grade the essays.
Yeah.
And so it's a big deal, and you wait till the end, and then they post it online, and so
when you finished law school, you went straight to Georgia to take your bar exam, or?
Yes.
So how you get here? Like, why Georgia?
I know.
I just want to skip those steps. Like, hold on.
Right. Yeah. You're like, nothing about your life makes sense. It does not. So I liked working with at-risk population. I decided that I wanted to be a public defender, and that's what I wasn't ready to move home. So I guess I could just, I took a leap of faith. So when I came to Augusta, Georgia had a new public defender program started in 2005. I was going to be a public defender. They were placing outside of the Atlanta area, and I chose Augusta because they were paying the most. All right, just transparency. Again, student loans to pay. So, and that still didn't really cover it. But I came here, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed my coworkers. I enjoyed the work. I enjoyed the challenges of it. I didn't know anyone when I decided to come here, not a soul. After I accepted the position, I found out that one of my cousins was here. He was in the military. So most of my family was military.
Gotcha.
My dad didn't go in. He was the only one he was the oldest of 5, and he was the only one that didn't go in. My mom was adopted, and she knows her biological siblings, but of her family, she went to college. And so she was an only child in the household where she grew up. So her parents adopted her. But my cousin that lived here, he and I did not actually grow up together. I just found out that he was here because he was in the military. His dad was in the military. He was in the military with his family. And I found out that they were here. And so that was kind of cool. And they were here for about 2 years, or 3 years. His first, I saw his children. We were here when his children were born. So his oldest daughter had just been born when I moved here. And then he had some twin boys that were born while I was here, and then they left. They're settled in Nebraska now.
Oh, okay. Well, you didn't really know him coming up, but you was like, "Hey, cousin, I need some family."
Yeah, so I did. So I checked it. We knew each other. We just didn't grow up close because, again, they were all in the military. So I have an uncle that lives in Australia right now. I have an aunt that's in Virginia. I have another uncle in California, and I have another uncle in Washington State. My uncle that was in Australia, he was actually in Florida this weekend. They had Special Olympics, and my oldest cousin, through him, she was dancing. And so I had to miss it. I was very, very sad because of this campaign, but my love is with them. And so they had an all abilities dance team. And so she made that, and she was dancing. And I just am so proud of watching her grow and watching her step into that. So it takes a little bit of everything.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Campaigning is hard. I tell people all the time, campaigning is tough. Y'all everywhere. Y'all sacrificing time with your family and friends and events.
Yes.
Just to better the community.
Yeah.
In hopes, because you never know, because now people got to go vote.
I was gonna say it's up to the people now. Do what y'all do.
I just want to throw it out there because I know I put out on clips. Early voting has started today, the 27th. It started today, so don't wait till May 19th if you don't have to. Go ahead and get your early voting in, because you might have a lot of questions that you can't ask on the 19th. So get it done now.
Let's go. Go.
You had mentioned, I don't know how deep you want to get into this though, but you just mentioned with your mom, you said that she was adopted. When you like in your teenage years, y'all was butting heads back and forth. At that age, did you ever think about the fact that may have affected like how maybe she raised you, or feel like y'all not back and forth, but maybe her stances on certain things, the way she views certain things, or maybe how she might have tried to protect you or whatever she was doing with you. Did you ever feel like did you ever think about that when you were younger, or just not nothing you thought about?
Not as I was younger. I don't think that my eyes were open to a lot of things. I think I was very sheltered originally, right? Growing up. I don't think that I really kind of got more exposure until I got to undergraduate, until I got to law school, and I really got out on my own and started getting more involved in community and activity. So, law school, I got involved with the Black Law Student Association. And so I was on our local board, I was on our regional board, and we did a lot of election protection. We just did a lot of community advocacy. We, making sure that people were informed. We did community service projects. We were mentoring undergraduate students and mentoring who were interested in going to law school, just trying to make sure that we were active in the community, giving back to the community and making sure that people could come along with us, because I don't believe in doing well if other people around you are not doing well. You have to be able to bring people with you.
No, I like that. I like that. I want to talk about Augusta a little bit. Like you said, you came here not knowing anybody, but you end up staying. I know you like to work and your coworkers, and you have family here. What about the city do you think kept, if anything at all, what kept you here as well?
So I think what I liked that you could navigate the city, right?
Yeah.
It was closely held. It was, coming in, I was an outsider, and that was interesting. But somehow I just found my people. I was able to connect and find a circle of friends that had similar interests. And I think you just have to get involved. So whether it's spending time downtown, when I moved here, I moved downtown. So I lived in an apartment on Broad Street. Broadway Apartments is where I lived when I first came here. I was there for several years, and then I bought a house in Hephzibah. So I was in Hephzibah for several years, and then I came back, and now I'm in the Washington Road area. So I have been in different spaces all around town. I started volunteering. So I worked with Dream Builders, and we worked with kids down in River Glen and Cherry Tree Crossing. We did all of those things, and through my work, I recognized how important it was to be involved in the prevention. So as much as I enjoyed advocating for people, I wanted to make sure that I was also helping them to not come through my office too. Yeah. And so I just continued a lot of the work that I was already doing. Then at some point I decided I was going to do Leadership Augusta, and Leadership Augusta was a really eye-opening experience. One of the things that I learned is kind of why Augusta was experienced some of the challenges that it did. We had so Brown versus the Board of Education was decided in 1963, and that was desegregating the schools. However, Augusta didn't actually desegregate our schools until 1978.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that too. Talk a little bit more about that, because you said it before, and I didn't catch it all when you said it last time. Because Brown versus Board of Ed was...
That was the Supreme Court case that desegregated schools, that was supposed to desegregate schools across the country.
But that was 67, you said, right?
60, I think it was 63.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was almost... I should probably double check that. But I should know that number.
But in here, you said they didn't do it in Augusta until 77, 78?
78.
Wow.
78. So it took a full 10, 15 years before we got there in Augusta. And that is what I would say slow justice. That is, I think that we are still experiencing the after effects of that.
Just asking, I don't know. Did you ever investigate or ask why? Like, how the town able to do such a thing? Like, okay, we know it's the rule, but we're gonna wait a few years, a decade and a half.
With the law, things happen until somebody says this isn't right.
Gotcha.
And that's always a challenge. So There can be a law in place, but until there is a critical mass of people who stand up and say, we want change, we want to see what is right done, until we are really unite as one voice and move forward, we don't get the outcomes that justice requires.
Wow, that's a long time. I'm into sports a lot. My brother plays sports down here, and then he went to Butler High School, and he broke a lot of records. But it was this white guy that had all the records. And it was in 50. It was in 60 something. And I remember thinking that like none of these guys was good that came after him that I knew of or heard of, and now it makes sense because they just didn't go. They didn't go there. They they didn't go to the school. So
yeah, that's exactly what happened. They were just somewhere else.
Yeah. You mentioned you're coming to Georgia for a public defender program, right? I know we talked about it before, but I want to ask again, like, public defenders get a bad rep, not just in like your everyday speaking, I guess, but just in songs. It's like people that don't know the law, but like, oh, he got a public defender. Oh, he's out of here. Like it's like there's no hope for you, as if y'all just don't know nothing, right? Can you talk a little bit about like the negative connotations and maybe even some positive connotations of being a public defender?
So I think what happened was that people really were trying to, the way that our old system was set up is that people could have a private practice and then they would be appointed cases. And they got paid more from their private practice than their appointed cases. So they had a financial incentive to invest more time and energy and seek better outcomes in their private practice rather than their appointed cases. And that is why people did not have any faith when saying they got a public defender. They didn't feel that they were getting the resources or the interest or the advocacy that they deserved through somebody who was paid differently.
Right.
On top of that, there's a huge misconception that people think that public defenders aren't real lawyers. They are real lawyers. Public defenders are real lawyers. Every single person that is a lawyer is also an attorney. If they're a public defender, they are a lawyer, they are an attorney. Everybody went to law school. Everybody had to pass the same bar exam. That's just where they work.
Nah, that's funny because you would think that people think that public defenders are tent workers. You know what I'm saying? Like we just found them at MAU over here. Like no, they had to go to school. They went and got your education in the same places that your other attorneys that went and got private practice as well. So
yes,
that is funny you said that. I didn't think about that. Like they act like those public defenders don't know anything.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I got a real lawyer now. You had a real lawyer. You had a real lawyer.
You always had one.
You always have one. But I think what people miss out on is that there are good attorneys and there are not so good attorneys. And there are good public attorneys who are working in the public defender's office, and there are not as good attorneys that are working in the public defender's office. But that also applies to private practice. So you can pay someone and they could still not be what you wanted to see in your attorney. And you could also get an attorney from the public defender's office, and that could be a great advocate for you. So at some point, they just got a bad rap from television, from the music, right? But there has really been a movement overall, and I've been part of that movement to ensure that public defenders provide quality representation to all of their clients. And that was one of the things that we worked very, very hard to do in the Augusta area. And I was part of that movement, and it started back in 2005. And I'm really proud of the work that we have been seeing coming out of that public defender's office.
I wanted to add, in addition to just being a public defender, do you think some of it came from too, like movies and things of that nature? Because the movies, they say that too. Like they kind of paint that picture a lot, like a public defender having a heavy caseload. So you always see this scene where you got a public defender coming to court and don't know the client name, or they'll get the cases mixed up. So I think when you mentioned good, there are people who are not so good and who are good or whatever. What do you think separates someone who's like a good public defender or attorney versus someone who's a not so good public defender or attorney?
Sometimes it's age. Sometimes it's just desire. So people come out and they can be fresh. Sometimes it's training and it can be lack of resources. So one of the benefits of the program that I had is, so it is, like I said, it's part of a movement. And it was the Public Defender Honors Program was the framework for Gideon's Promise, which is a nationwide public defender reform movement that is, again, trying to reframe how public defenders are seen and the work that they do in the community. So there are attorneys that are in Atlanta and in other parts of Georgia. There are public defenders that are part of this program in Alabama and Tennessee and Texas, Louisiana. So it has a movement that has grown exponentially in the past 20 years as I've seen it. And I'm just kind of really proud to be part of those origins and to see the work that they're doing across the country. It's continuing to grow.
But no, as when you were a public defender, because you're obviously you're not no more, right?
Correct.
When you were though, like, what was some of your best days, like, or better moments, while doing that?
When your clients say thank you. And I have actually, so when I started my campaign trail, there was a lot of, there were murmurs, right? There were murmurs about what this was going to look like and what that was going to be. And I had to, really dig deep and find the courage to stand up. But every bit along the way, I think that I told y'all this the last time that we talked, is I've seen so many of my clients over the past few months that have said, Miss Davis, and that was my name at the time. So as a public defender, I was Miss Davis. They're like, they said, it's so good to see you. I'm doing great now. You helped me so much. You saved my life. Those are the moments where people you don't always hear the thank yous in the moments, but even 20 years, 8 years, from when I handled my last case as a public defender, my clients are still, they remember you. They remember the work that you did. They remember how much you helped them to move forward and kind of put their lives back together. And they appreciate that. And I think that knowing that someone appreciates the work that the sacrifice that you gave for them, because it's tough work. It's tough. You spend so many sleepless nights because you're thinking about how the evidence is going to come in. You're trying to think about what your client needs and what can you do differently. And the volume is high. There's nothing that you can do about that. You just have to keep working and you have to do what you're supposed to do. And sometimes you're going to the jail at night and sometimes you're going to the jail in the early morning or on the weekends, just to try to make sure that everything is balancing out. And we don't have an hourly rate as a public defender. It's just flat salary. So you do what you need to do in order to make sure that your clients are represented. And so just those seeing new people, so seeing the new attorneys come in, training them, being there when they get their first really hard sentence. There are so many times that what's about to happen. We've had, teammates that have tried their first murder case, and the facts weren't good. And we were looking at a life sentence on the other side of that. And we knew that was probably coming, but you also, having been through that yourself, what it requires of like the emotional toll. And so I'm sitting out in the hallway waiting for them. I've hugged people. I've hugged my coworkers. I've sat with them while they've cried. I've sat with them while while we've experienced this range of emotions, preparing and investing into people, and then feeling the loss that happens when your client has that terrible sentence, because it is a loss. You've gotten to know this person. You have really gotten to know their story and their life and how they got here, and seen those inflection points of if this one thing or these couple of things could have been different, how their lives would have ended up differently. And so just being able to be there for other people when they are experiencing that is really good. And then to see them grow as attorneys is really cool too.
In those times where obviously the facts aren't what you want them to be or are in your favor maybe, I forget the verbiage you just used, but I was going to try to copy you, but I couldn't do it. But I was going to ask, in those moments, are you optimistic still? Like, okay, well, this is how it's looking, that's what it's looking like. But I'm optimistic that maybe we can game plan, we can do this, or we'll approach it this way to get the less amount of time for your client, or just the best sentence possible for your client.
Yeah, so you're looking at making sure that the right pieces of evidence come in. You're looking at to make sure that there are the right witnesses are called. And again, it's about what we call as evidence blocking. So do you get are the rules correct? Are they adhering to, is this hearsay? Is there the right exception to hearsay? So in those instances, there are a number of different ways. Sometimes the facts don't look great. I had a guy that I tried, and they said that it was an armed robbery. And I don't know if I told the story before. They said it was an armed robbery. And when I talked to him, he said, I didn't rob them. And I said, well, this is what it looks like. You were found in this car, and that you had the keys. You were found hiding in a room in a car that this guy said was stolen, and you had the keys next to you. Like, tell me what happened. And he said, no. He said, I didn't rob him. And they were offering him 10 years. And it may have even been like a 15-year sentence, but 10 years on an armed robbery is to the door. It's not parole eligible. And so I said, listen, you're going to have to tell me what happened. Like, something's missing. I don't know what it is. I hear you say this is not what happened. You didn't rob him, but I didn't rob him is not going to be sufficient for us to go into court and say, I didn't rob him. Like, you're going to have to tell me the rest of the story. And when he did, he was, his history was drugs. And what we talked about was, well, we're going to have to tell him exactly what was going on. And so he was there to sell drugs. The guy, he wanted to buy drugs from him, and then he didn't want to pay for the drugs that he had purchased. Then they went to get money to pay for the drugs. And then when they were in the car together, and then the guy yells out the window, like, he's robbing me. He's threatening me. He's robbing me. So my client got scared, drove off in the car. The guy had gotten out of the car. My client got scared, drove off in the car, and then hopped out. And so, but he testified to that. And he said, this is what happened. And there were these little details, like the guy said, well, I saw him standing out there, and I was suspicious of him, but then when I came back out to the car, like, he just jumped in the car with me. I said, well, you jumped in the car with you? Yeah. But you unlocked the car. Well, yeah. And I said, but you have an automatic lock on your car. Yeah. Which means you would have had to click it twice to let him in. And if you were suspicious of him, you wouldn't have clicked it twice. But you clicked it twice to let him in. If you were suspicious, you would have only clicked it once, and you would have gotten in the car. You wouldn't have given them the space to get in the car with you. And that's where it hinged on. And my client was convicted, but he was not convicted of the armed robbery. He was convicted of a theft by taking, and he got time in custody, but he didn't get a mandatory minimum of 10 to serve. Right. which is a huge difference.
I'm clapping it up, man. And that's the difference between a good lawyer and a not so good lawyer. Attention to detail. But earlier, I touched on the soccer thing because I knew that it would come in this way. I think even your background in sports is like, you play a team that's faster, bigger, stronger. But if you game plan correctly, either you can win, you're optimistic on winning, or they won't be able to beat you like they think they beat y'all, which is sometimes a win to a team. Like,
correct.
Oh, y'all beat by 1 point. Y'all should have beat by 50.
Yeah.
But our game plan allowed us to, So I like that. I think that even that background, I can see it in your approach to the courtroom. So I thought that was just cool to hear. All right. So you move on from public defending. So after that, what's next for you after that? What did you do?
So we left. So 2 other women from the PD's office, we left and started a firm. And one of the first cases that I took was actually an appeal case. And so someone one of my clients had had a 40-year sentence for a significant incident that had happened. And when we sat down and looked at the transcript, we were able to see that a piece of information had been wrongly given to the jurors. So the jurors, there was a recorded statement, and that recorded statement, the jurors asked to rehear it, and they could have heard it in open court, but instead they took it back to the jury deliberation room, and that was error. And so then he was able to get like 7 years time served instead of that 40-year sentence.
Oh, that's great.
And
yeah, that's great.
So again,
I'm sure he's ecstatic. Yeah, I can imagine when he'll see you. He might run and hug you. Throw you in the air.
No, he did. And I saw him 2 weeks ago, maybe, and he was like, "Do you remember me?" And I looked at him for a second, and I said, "I do." And then I do. I remember most of my clients, and so when we were driving here, I showed my mom one of the cases. I said I had a case here. That was one of the first cases that I tried in this area, and she said, "Was it this one?" No, it wasn't. It wasn't this one. That was at Regency Mall. But I remember them, so I very specifically remember those big cases that had an impact on me, and I can remember their faces, and sometimes with just a little hint, I can remember the names too. But when it took me, and he was like, "You saved my life," and so I said, "I'm really glad to see you. He's working and doing great." So
that is great.
Yeah.
One question I didn't ask you, I should have asked you earlier, but the bar exam, did you pass on the first try?
I did.
Oh, clap it up for you, man! Gotta clap it up for you.
I'm really glad, because I'm not sure I would have had the strength to take it again.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people that then they don't pass, they feel discouraged, or they feel like they put too much into it and they don't want to take it again.
It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. And part of that is because it's intense. People have testing anxiety. So sometimes it's not about knowing the information. It's about being able to settle your spirit enough to be able to focus and share the information under time constraints.
Yeah. As a lawyer, is it hard to, or has it been hard to be in a courtroom and kind of like, I don't want to say fight against, but learn the Georgia laws?
No.
Every state is different, right?
Every state is different, but you learn concepts in law school, you learn some law, but you don't necessarily learn the state specific law. You learn the concepts, and you learn how to spot the issues that you then learn how to research. So once you start your practice, wherever that is, you will learn the law at that point in time. So the bar does teach you the law generally, but there's general, and there's criminal, and there's civil procedure, and there's criminal procedure, and you study all of those things in order to become a lawyer in whichever state you're going to be practicing. But then as you get into your specific practice area, you deep dive even more. And so you learn more intricacies of what you got the broader overviews for the bar exam.
Have you ever been on the prosecution side before? Like, is that something you ever wanted to do?
So I have only assisted in small spaces. I filled in on the prosecution side. I have handled some defects cases, and that would be juvenile dependency cases. I can sort of act as a prosecutor in that space, but not necessarily. I have filled in for prosecution positions in magistrate and civil court. So some of the ordinances and animal ordinance violations, I've filled in there. I didn't have a burning desire to be a prosecutor, but it is a necessary role in both parts in the law, because you have to have people that are holding people accountable. So when there are violations of the law, someone needs to be holding them accountable. Someone needs to be making sure that the people that are holding them accountable are doing it properly. So it just takes both sides in the adversarial system to make sure that everyone is being held to their burden. Anytime any side is too strong, then it topples over.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to that you just saying that, but in a second. Because I thought that was something you said last time. I wanted to kind of expound on that. But like, what makes you like the opposite of prosecuting so much? Like, what make you like that a lot?
Underdog. I think I just like fighting for the little person.
Gotcha. I always ask a question, because then you'll see people who heavily are on the other side. They only want to prosecute. They don't want to defend anybody. And I think you might be the first time I asked that kind of have experience on both sides to an extent. But mostly when I talk to somebody, they wouldn't even acknowledge that there is other side. It's just like, no, it's just they strictly prosecution. That's it. They don't talk about nothing else.
Oh no, I am very much a contrarian, and so
Yeah.
I think it's I'm frequently trying to take the other side and it's like, but what if this and just because you have the power doesn't mean that it has to be exercised, and so that I believe in that also.
I had a lawyer on before. She's from here, but she works in Atlanta a long time ago. And it's a clip that always gets comments every week on my YouTube channel, even to this day, talking about the First Offenders Act, and she
Okay.
kind of explained it, right? Are there any more? I don't know what they call them, like acts similar to that. Like I know that's a very important act just for criminal crime basis in Georgia. Is there more like that as well?
Yes, so the First Offender Act applies to any charge. Then we have the Conditional Discharge Act, which is one that should be used more. And the Conditional Discharge Act is actually a like a drug first offender, and so it applies. It's actually included in the misdemeanor marijuana statute, which is OCGA 1613-2. And so that's a misdemeanor drug statute. And it also notes that for any nonviolent offense, drug-related or property crime, you can use a conditional discharge, which allows someone to be sentenced up to 5 years. And if they are successfully complete their treatment program, then their charge can be dismissed.
Gotcha.
So,
okay, so that's called
conditional discharge.
conditional discharge. Okay, I want to make a clip of that. I want to make sure I put it out there too. I'm trying to look up for everybody. People like things because when you read the law and books and stuff, it's just very wordy to us. I'm not gonna lie. It's just like even when you said 13-2, I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? Why not? But now we're getting into the kind of why you're here and what you've been doing. So. Tell people one what you're running for and what it means. 'Cause I think when I tell people what it means, they just think judge and they just think judge. I'm like, no, it's a judge, not just any judge. So kind of explain that to me a little bit.
So someone said this the other day, and they said it was one of the most important races, and one
Kim
of
Macon.
yeah, he
Kim
did.
Macon. Clap it up for Kim Macon.
Yes,
Clap it
Kim
up.
Macon.
He spoke about you highly last week, real quick. I gotta tell you that. He called me on the phone. He said, last night, she was on fire. And when the guy said, we talked for 15 minutes just about that. He said, yo, she was cooking, man. She was cooking. She said, it wasn't well. It wasn't good for everybody else. And I said, yes. I clapped it up for you in my head. I said, yes. Yes. So he spoke highly of you. So he made that post. It wasn't that anybody told him to do it. He really made it because he went, he viewed it, and he thinks super highly of you.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I think one of the things that is once people have a chance to really meet me and get to know me and hear what it is, this is real. This is not an act. This is not a show. This is what I've been doing. I feel very, very strongly about the changes that we need to see in our Superior Court. And so I am running for Superior Court judge. I'm very excited about that. It has been a long time coming, I think. And so when I started my practice, I didn't necessarily envision myself being a judge. Again, it's one of those things that someone spoke over me at one point in time. And I said, well, we'll see what happens. We'll see. I wasn't sure then. I wasn't convinced. But I think that I have been preparing for this space. I think I am the change that the community needs to see. And I think that I will serve our community well in the position. And so I am excited about the opportunity to serve.
I'm very excited as well. I do know, like I said, this is not I'm asking you because I don't get me wrong, I'm messy. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm not gonna be messy now because it's not important. Because it's more important things than this. But I did, you hear a lot of stuff about this, that, and third, and this people have problems, all that kind of stuff. My main concern with like this particular race is you said something last time, and I've been thinking about this forever. So it's 6 judges?
There are 6 judges.
6.
Yes.
And so you vote, you win, somebody comes off, maybe 6 still, right? Of the 6 now, just say, talk about today as of today, of the 6, how many of those judges were not prosecutors?
One.
Okay. So I'll go back to what you said earlier.
Yeah, one, maybe two. I don't know if Judge Stone was a prosecutor,
One in a
but
possible.
yeah, one in a possible. There we go.
But I go back to what you said earlier. You were saying, you was like, it should never be so heavy. And so now I'm thinking, I'm using fractions. I don't know if you AP, you good math. So
I'm not good with math.
okay,
That's why I'm a lawyer.
Well, I'm gonna do it. So you're gonna say two. So 4-6, that's 66%. Of the bench judges are prosecutors. What could that mean for sentencing of people? Maybe even like empathy, lacking of it. You're on that side. So how are you judging now?
So it means when people have been, even though you're in a nonpartisan position, doesn't mean that your values have changed. And so if you were a firm, if you took a firm approach to prosecuting, if you were hiding evidence as a prosecutor, I don't know that we can trust you to.
Is that legal?
No, it's not legal, and it causes cases to come back.
But it happens a lot.
It has happened.
Wow.
It has happened, and it happened in a death penalty case. And the attorney general actually said, this is egregious, and it required a new trial. And in essence, what happened was there was someone who was on trial for murder, and the attorney of record at that time was the attorney I'm running against, or it was the judge I'm running against. And what happened, in essence, was for death penalty cases, you can't prosecute somebody. You cannot pursue the death penalty for someone who has who's not competent to do so. So if they have any level of mental illness or developmental disabilities, you cannot pursue the death penalty on them. And they had a state witness who started out and said, this person is competent. I don't have any concerns about that. When it came time for the trial, the witness, the doctor, the evaluating doctor, was in the room with the prosecutor at the time, and said, we messed up this evaluation. And in fact, the words he said, we effed up this evaluation. Said, right? Said, we effed up this evaluation. And as a result, I don't think that you should pursue the death penalty. Our evaluation was wrong. And she said, thank you very much. Please get on this plane, and sent him away.
Wow.
And no one knew the wiser until later on appeal, when the affidavit from this doctor came out, and it had those quotes in it and said, I told her that he was not competent and that we had messed it up. And she said, thank you very much. What I think actually told them is like, oh, well, we've worked this out. And that was not true. And they still pursued the death penalty. So they had to retract the death penalty in a very serious case. And they had to try him 3 times for misconduct issues that came up in that case.
Wow. That's a lot.
And that's what we're going against.
Yes, this is everybody. I did hear something like this now. So you broke it down. First, I'm clapping it for you. You broke it down great, by the way. Very cinematic, like too. I feel like I can watch it as you're saying it. But I hear about it. I just didn't know the details of it until you just said it. I knew it was something there, but not knowing there's something there. So I guess this campaign is even more important in that sense of like it's some kind of like a grudge match. I don't know. Should I call it that? I don't know. That's the right term?
It's not a grudge match. The grudge I have is against a system that has been used as a weapon against the community. It's not personal. This is about what the changes that need to happen for our community to move forward and for the community to thrive. I believe in second chances. I believe in restoration, and I believe that people should have an opportunity to make a better decision than the worst one they've ever made.
I want to talk about that. That because you mentioned something earlier. I think one of the things I see a lot of is tough on crime versus smart on crime, right? I do think there should be a balance of that, even amongst the judges. Like, of course, you're going to have some heavy sentencing sometimes because some crimes gonna warrant that. But I don't think every crime it warrants a heavy sentence. So I think some crimes warrants a second chance, like you said. So if you're going to talk about that a little bit, talk about the being smart on crime. For some reason, when Jared say it, people get mad. I don't know why. I think people just don't like Jared for some reason. I don't know. Like, he's a great guy to me. He sat in that very chair. He always by himself, just be chilling,
Yeah. I like Jared a lot. He's one of my friends. He
like
actually when he started as a young prosecutor, he was one of the people that I sort of encouraged on the way. We worked with Dream Builders together, and so I chaired his Leadership Augusta class. So we have we've maintained a good relationship along the way. So ever since he's been practicing,
I like that. So, but like what are your thoughts on it? Like,
so my approach does not keep people from being accountable. I believe in accountability, but I also believe in fairness. And I believe that if we're talking about one person should be accountable, everybody should be accountable. For example, right, we had Signgate 2026,
yep.
right? So somebody's
been a lot going on there.
Listen, it's campaign season.
I'm trying to tell you.
It's in Augusta. So we saw, there was this video of an attorney who snatched my sign from in front of the neighbor's house. He did not have permission to do so. He didn't have their permission to do so. He didn't have my permission to do so. And he threw it in the trash. Right? What's interesting is when you're talking about being tough on crime, the person who was tough on crime, my opponent, never said anything about it. She didn't openly say, I don't condone this behavior. She didn't say, that's not how I want you to act on my behalf. Please don't do that. She didn't come out and say anything, right? She was silent. She didn't care because that's one of the people that supports her. That's one of her inner circle people. But had it been someone that looked like me, had it been someone that was someone from my team that was caught on camera stealing her signs, we wouldn't be having the same conversation.
At all.
You'd have a mugshot. So I think that is the difference of my approach is it is a terrible decision. It's a terrible decision. And it's bold. And all I can think is he was cussing and fussing when he went to snatch that sign because he couldn't stand to look at it. He couldn't stand what it represents. He couldn't stand the challenge to his friend. He couldn't stand that someone would dare stand up and say, I'm coming for your seat.
I want you to speak on that a little bit. What does it represent? And when you look at it that way, what does it represent you running against this person, or you just running in general?
It's a change. It's a sweeping change of the old guard. It's a change in the way Augusta has always done things. It is a change that has been on the horizon. It's a change that we have been waiting for. When we did not know exactly what we needed as a community, I'm here to stand up and say that you need me. That's what you need, is you need someone in that position who has done all the things that the court handles. I am competent. I'm prepared to do it. I just didn't come from one side. I've handled all of the law that the court handles. I'm well prepared and I'm connected to the community.
I think that's important. Like I said earlier, and I'm not saying this because you're here, I've seen you at events throughout my time in media, but I don't see you coming in, shaking hands and leaving. You're there and you're there. Like, you in the moment. I was at the alternative school. You're there. Left at the very end, but like when everybody, I like that because I always pay attention to campaign season first of all, right? Because then everybody outside now. But I also look at, I've seen you sweating already. I've seen you so much doing so much, and then it's to a point where it's not a facade. It's not. I'm not doing it just because I'm running. You've been doing it, So I do like that. When I think about candidates, I think about that as well. Who been doing the work versus who said I'm gonna do it now because I'm running for something.
Right.
And that's important to me. But what What issue? Like, I guess what policies are you running on, or that you plan to change, would like to change, would like to implement for this particular seat you're running for?
I just want to make sure that when people come in front of the court, that there's fairness. And I believe that our families aren't one size fits all. That we have space to craft creative decisions with resolutions within the law to ensure that our families are able to be strong. And that could look like custody agreements, that could look like parenting plans. It looks like what is going to be best for the people that are in front of me. It may not always be that mom is the primary caregiver, because mom may not be able to handle that responsibility right now. And dad is better equipped to do that. And dad is going to be the one who is going to be encouraging of the co-parenting situation, whereas mom is going to be hindering that. There is space, and we do have these factors that we have to analyze, but I just think that we can, when you have lived it, right? And so I didn't live it growing up, but I live it as an adult. So I'm married. I've been married for less than 10 years, but I'm a stepmom, right? I'm a new mom.
Congrats, by the way. Clap it up for you.
Yeah.
I
So
love when people see me hit the button, they stop. They know what's going on. I love it. I love it. I love it.
but yeah, like, I've got a 7-year-old bonus baby, and that is my guy, right? I love him to bits and pieces. We build. The other day he said, "Sita, you're a good mom," and I said, "Well, why?" He calls me Sita, so so the girl is going to call me Mama, and the guy, he calls me Sita. So
I
I've
like
got
that.
this cute little show. This is Mama Sita. We haven't perfected it yet, but Mama Sita. And I said, "Well, why do you say that, baby?" And he said, "Well, because you let me make mistakes and you cook for me." But that's my dude. But we navigate a difficult co-parenting situation sometimes, and I know the challenges that come with that. I know the challenges that come with fighting for access and traveling and wanting to be present. I know what it feels like to want to check out if you don't think that you're getting a fair shake when you come in front of the court. And I don't want people to check out after coming in front of me. I want people to stay engaged, and I want people to know that they have someone who will listen to what's going on with their family and try to help them find the right result for them.
I'm going to say this. It's not every day you hear, I don't want to gingerize it. It's not every day you hear someone within the law, judge, lawyer, speak in high favor of kids being with the dad. That might be the first time I heard that in my life.
It's important.
So I'm gonna clap it up for you again. You got to clap. You might be all time clapper on here. I don't know. You might get out of clap. I think Ken told me that too last week. I was saying, yeah, I'm saying that because it's so new to us to hear that's like a highlight for us, for you. Oh, she said this, but to you, it's just fair. It's just fairness.
And dads are important. Dads are so important. And we need dads, right? We need more men. And I think that part of our ailments as a community are that we don't have enough men who are in the space to show other young men how to be men. And I think that's one of the things that we are very much missing. And the more men that we can have to stand up and to participate and to guide the next generation, the better off we're going to be. And I think that will help to alleviate some of the gang issues that we have right now. They're looking for connection. They're looking for guidance. They're looking for what they think is manhood. And we have so many people that are missing. We have an entire generation of young men that are missing from our community. And that was by design once upon a time.
Yeah.
And now we're just now feeling the effects of that in a very significant way. And so we've got to position people who are interested in healing some of those issues.
And everything you just said just now, I want to kind of put a bow in it a little bit. And that's why when Jared talks about being smart on crime and the reasons why, everything you just said right there is why I sit and listen. I say, he knows something. Because a lot of those things connect. no dad there, regardless it's whether in jail or whatever. But then you do look for that connection, that brotherhood, that manhood, and someone who, and we young, you 13, 14, right? You got somebody who's 25, 26, no job. He just do what he's gonna do all day, but you think, oh, that's cool because you're
That's cool.
13.
Yeah, you
He's
don't
not
know
even a
anything.
man.
Yeah.
Can't change a flat. Can't don't cut the grass for his grandma. It's like so many
Yeah.
things he don't do. But the things you like about him, you look up to, and then you start to become that. And that's what starts the trickle effect. And then I was at an all time high. So and they starting younger.
They are.
So yeah, I'm sure that's a lot. That's a lot to deal with. What I know you said that fairness. What but other than fairness, I guess what should we expect once you win?
That I'm still working in the community. I will still be present. I will still be working to explain what we're doing, and I'll be working hard to resolve some cases and to get justice for people, right, on both sides. And that means making sure that we are opening up our courtrooms and that we're ready to work once we get there. That will look like ensuring that we are not wasting people's time with calendar calls and using the technology that we have available to us. I want to keep as many people working as possible. So even if they have court, I want to minimize the number of times that they have to come to court unnecessarily just to check in, just for me to see your face. I want to make sure that people are still keeping their jobs because they need their jobs. They need them in order to keep moving forward. And one court case shouldn't require their whole entire life to fall apart.
Right,
And
right.
so we've got to be mindful of that.
I know I asked this before. I'm going to ask it again now. When you go to vote, it's multiple people on the ballot, multiple people in certain categories. When it comes to the Superior Court judge, why should someone click on you?
It's time. Right? Our community is in crisis, and we don't have another 30 years to wait for a different outcome. What has been happening for the past 30 years. I'm running against someone who's been the center of our justice system for 30 years. She was an assistant district attorney when I started. She and I were in the courtroom together. We tried a number of cases together. Then after that, she was the lead prosecutor. If we're not happy with what we have seen in this community for the past 30 years, you have nothing to lose by choosing me. You have a choice. You have an opportunity to make a change. You know what you're going to get if you make the same choices you've always been making. I'm a new choice. I'm hope. I'm ready to serve, and I'm looking forward to it. This is a new time in our community. This is what our ancestors have been looking forward to, for us to step up, for us to stand up, and for us to be the change that we want to see. And I'm ready to do that. And I appreciate your support.
That was beautiful. I got a few more questions. That was beautiful. I want to clap it up for you again. Running that button ragged.
More class.
But lawyer, wife, mom, daughter. How do you balance it all?
One day at a time. I've got a great support system. My friends, my mom, my husband, faith. You rely on the people. You build a circle of people. So again, I say community so much because I believe in it. I believe in surrounding yourself with people to help you carry the load. And I'm been part of the community, and I've been part of other people's community to help them carry the load. And so that's all that we can do is when we all unite and move towards a common goal, we are so much stronger together. Strong families make strong communities. And so I have surrounded myself with people who help me to do those things. And I anticipate that they will continue helping me in the future, the same way that I will continue helping them. And we're just working this thing out. It has to be done. We don't have any choices. It's not just about me. Again, I can't be doing well if my neighbor is not. And so we got to move forward together.
I like that mindset. What has been the toughest part if any at all, about this campaign? What's the toughest part about it?
The toughest part was at first not having the support of some people, of some of my colleagues, and I won't say coworkers, but colleagues, and mostly just because they're comfortable and they don't want to step out and choose somebody or support someone in opposition to who was already in that position. But that seat doesn't belong to her. It belongs to the people. And what I know is that I've been doing the work. And I may have been the underdog, but I already told you how I feel about the underdog. Right?
No, I like that. I like that. You definitely
Right?
did.
Like, don't count me out. Right? I am stronger than they probably ever could have imagined. What I have been through. And so I know how to stand up straight. I know how to weather the storm, and I'm not scared. And so I think having been on the defense side, always representing the underdog, prepared me for everything that I'm going through right now. And that is, I run my race. I can't be worried about what y'all are doing. I've got a plan. I've got the creativity. We put it together. We've been working. I've been so excited. I'm encouraged along the way as I'm working, and I keep working, and I will keep working, and I will not stop working until this election is completed. You will see me on the corners, waving signs, honk when you see me. I'm at all of the events. I'm having breakfasts and dinners and lunches and all the things. I'm going to birthday parties. Let me know if there's somewhere you want to see me. I will try to make it there. When the election is done, when those results come in, I'm going to sleep for a few days and then I'm going to get back to work. I'm excited. I'm so excited. And I'm going to show you this. And I don't think I talked about this the last time, but one of the first events that I went to when I started my campaign was, hold on, let me put my hands on it. I went to a women and children, a forum on teen dating violence. And they had the parents separated, they had the adults and the children separated. And as a result, they had the parents draw this card. And so they had them face up and they said, this is going to be your inspiration. And the card that I drew was this, and I've carried it with me ever since. It says, it always seems impossible until it's done. And again, this is one of those seeds that has been carrying me through this election cycle. It is that encouragement, it is that little mustard seed of faith that shows me that I'm on the right track. And when I got this very, very early on, it's in motion. I'm excited about it. So I have faith that we are going to be successful on the other side of that. And that's because I've done what I'm supposed to be doing. Now you all have to get out and do what you're supposed to be doing. And that's vote. We can't sit this out. We can't decide, I don't really know. No, you know what you need to do. You need to get out and go to the polls. Cast your vote, make your voice heard. Don't sit it out. We are a community in crisis. What's happening on a national level is happening on a local level. They're trying to build more jails. And who do you think they're going to fill those jails with? That's all.
I like it. I like it. I'm not even going to expound on that. I'm gonna wait. Hopefully I'll see you somewhere else to ask you that question because something you said. But what's the best thing so far about the campaign?
People.
The people.
Yeah, I love it. I love to see people excited. I love to see people excited about it. And just, they're like, I just like to see, young, articulate people out and representing us and carrying the torch. The torch has been passed and we're ready. So
last question. You said that. Now I'm going to ask you now. So it's the last question. What you did say, you were saying that, one of the hardest things about the campaign was not having colleagues support you, maybe due to being comfortable, even scared, even whatever. is it a thing where like maybe it's like I'm not going to attach myself to Alexia because maybe I don't feel like she can win at the time. Maybe things feel different now, or I'm gonna do the safe side and stay here just in case if this person win, I can still get my favors or whatever the case may be. Whatever that look like for somebody, I don't know. I know it's a lot of political games when like not being close to somebody, maybe not even saying sharing a post. You probably sending reels out there and they don't see it, don't like it, nothing. They just no attachment at all. Do you think that comes from the fear of being uncomfortable?
Yes, they're afraid of the fallout if they attach themselves to the wrong horse, right? But this is what I will say. I have some riders, right? I have some riders, and I am so incredibly grateful for them. They know who they are. I don't even have to call any names, and I'm not going to. But when I say I have some people in my camp that have been more supportive, despite whatever they may have going on in their lives, they are with me and they're doing the work with me. And I could not make it without them. And I am eternally grateful for those people who stood strong and stood tall and weren't scared.
No, definitely. I'm clapping up for that. I appreciate you coming through, sitting down. This is good. You know, I told you when I ask questions, I really get into them. I ain't have no question notes. I like the vibe. I like to get it. But yeah, man, I'm excited for you. I know May 19th. Once again, make sure y'all go vote. Early voting is now. You can go vote early now. Started today on 27th. This was intentional to do this on the day of early voting. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely appreciate the time you've given me and to come give me an interview. I wish you nothing but the best, of course. I'll be at the polls probably this week. I'm not waiting until the 19th because something always happens on day of voting day. So I'm not gonna wait. I'm gonna do it early.
Don't wait.
I know I'm getting older when I care about voting early now. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm happy with that because I could be this age and think about something else. Right. A young boy concert, right? Yeah. I don't care about that. I'm thinking about voting right now. So, but once again, I appreciate you and we wish you nothing but the best. And congrats in advance.
Thank you so much.
Wrap it up for you. More Than Masters podcast. We are out.